we got off to some good discussion. So real quick, let's just run around and introduce everybody so we know who we are and what we do. I'll kick it off. I'm Suzanne Ratty with Ideas 360, and I do sales, coaching, and marketing strategy. And I work with businesses like Tara, as an example, to just manage their entire brand and messaging. The messaging is the most important part because you can have a great brand or have a great website, but if you're not communicating with your target audience, that's where the challenge comes in. So I really help you align those sales and marketing initiatives. Celie, how about you, since you were the first one in today?
Okay, I'm Celie Holmes. I've spent 30 some years in the new home industry, all on the sales and marketing side. I've sold and managed. My last job was with the largest home builder in the country, and I was their VP of sales and marketing for Maryland, DC, Virginia, and West Virginia. I'm now doing my own consulting company in the same field, so all new home industry related, sales and marketing council. A member of the Maryland Building Association, so very involved in that, and very involved in the nationals. And I also have a couple side hustles because women always need multiple income streams because you never know what the economy is going to do. So I also do Stella and Dot, which is accessories, clean beauty, skincare, clothing. And then I have a fun, which has really taken off, we used to call gym play work, but now it's at home athleisure, called Discover Peach. And it's great, pretty, stylish, comfy clothes that you can either wear all out, or you can just, if you're Zoom video, you can just be comfy and cute from the waist up.
Nice. Thanks for being here. How about Beverly?
Good morning, ladies. Loved the commute from the first floor to the second floor to the first floor today. It's awesome. My name's Beverly Brown, and my regular business is I'm a travel agent. You can find me on Facebook at Chesapeake Travel. And I have a group called Chesapeake Travel Insiders that you can join. And I usually post specials and deals as they get, broadcasted to us in the industry. And then my website is beachboundandbeyond.com. So I'm a Caribbean specialist, a honeymoon destination wedding specialist, and a group travel specialist. And so those are my passions. I do service the world and, to the moon when Virgin Galactic gets going. And then, I can't wait to send somebody to the moon, literally. And then from my volunteer side and philanthropic side of myself, I'm the vice chair of the board of directors for the Dream Queen Association and Foundation. It's a great women's networking group, and then a girls team mentorship program that we have in the public high schools in Southern Maryland. And then I'm also the president for the Southern Maryland Alumni Network for the University of Maryland Alumni Association. And that takes up a lot of my time. And then as we were chatting earlier, I also work part-time as an admin for my husband, which is the worst job for me because I don't admin well. I sell and I market and I interact with people well. But yeah, I do that for a company called Geotechnology Associates, GTA.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
How about one of our featured partners? Actually, Tara, I'm going to save you for the end because I'm going to give you a few extra minutes to you and Kat to go over your promotions and ideas. How about Irina?
Hi, everyone. I'm Irina Whitmer. I'm a brand strategist and a brand photographer with Empowered Brands by Irina. And I help purposeful entrepreneurs grow their business with clarity, confidence, and heart, and pivot in the crisis. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Irina. How about Michelle?
Hi, good morning. Michelle Burke. My company's called Health and Taxes, LLC. I'm here to help you with your health through flipping the switch on aging. I do that through selling clean crafted wines and selling supplements that reduce oxidative stress. I also was in the corporate tax world for 30 years prior to changing and going out on my own. So with that, I continue to help small businesses with their taxes and individuals. And lately I've been helping a lot of people just figure out how to get their stimulus check, and then recently helping a lot of people with unemployment, making sure especially sole proprietors and contract employee or contractors are able to get their unemployment. And there's a lot of sticky parts to that, but that's kind of how I've pivoted in this time.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
How about Karen?
Hey guys, I am Karen Keys. I am a loan officer with Envoy Mortgage. I've been in the business for 10 years now. Sorry, I have my video off right now. I have my newborn baby on my lap, feeding kind of on and off. I am a mom of 3 under 5, and I can help with purchases and refinances. And I'm kind of looking back and touching base with a lot of my past customers with everything going on. A huge portion of my past customers are moms and people in the healthcare industry.
And you know, we usually have a segment for this, but I'm pretty sure that you're getting ready to have like one of your biggest months in your career.
This is, yes, I just got back from maternity leave, and as long as everything goes through, this will be my biggest month.
How crazy is that? Like, seriously, that's an Atta girl right there, because she just had a baby. She was on maternity leave, and she comes back and has the biggest month in her career. Like, way to go.
I do have an awesome team behind me that definitely had my back while I was out for 6 weeks, and I was a little crazy that they didn't give me access to my system, but it was good.
Good.
And kind of to tag on what people were saying earlier, people are definitely still buying houses even through all of this, which is kind of nice. The economy, you know, does have its little positive parts to it.
Yeah, we're going to hopefully tap into that discussion in just a minute. All right, how about Mandy?
Good morning, ladies. I am Mandy Slate. I am content writer, editor, proofreader, content strategist for people mainly in insurance and health and wellness, but I have kind of been expanding things to work with other people that align with me, and we share a mission together. So that I don't limit myself there. So yeah, that's me.
Thanks. Joan?
Hi, I'm a physician assistant, a registered nurse. I have rental properties in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I hold a lot of hats and, of course, sometimes a little bit more than I can handle. And it's just been a very interesting couple of months so far.
Well, thank you for being on the front lines.
I'm actually in the middle of a project because I'm not allowed to be in the front lines any longer. I kind of timed out. It's not my kind of style to be sitting on the sidelines, so I'm converting an area of my townhouse to provide housing for COVID people that are working on the front lines and that have been in contact with COVID patients.
Wow.
So that they don't have to leave their families or look for a hotel or that type of thing. So I'm doing it very quietly because I'm not quite sure it goes with our HOA, but I'm going to have new roomies, basically.
Gotcha.
So.
Good. Well, welcome. How about Mariana?
Good morning, Mariana, Athena Financial Services. I primarily work with small business owners with their financial needs through a in-depth holistic analysis, and then assisting them with their personal and their business financial needs, and really just helping them be able to refocus on their business and get all of those little heartburns that are in the way and things that keep us up at night. So that's pretty simply me. I work in annuities, investments, life insurance, long-term care, and employee benefits. And again, I'm Mariana, Athena Financial Services, and I do have a group. I don't know if this is the time for that I'm putting together, because right now the biggest thing is trying to find ways to give back. And So I've created a group for people to come together to get themselves organized with all the different papers that we need, and doing it in different segments so that each week you have like a small bit of homework so we can kind of have bite-sized pieces. And I am absolutely honored that Tara is actually going to be one of the first speakers coming up in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks for being here. How about Mandy?
Oh, you already got me.
Mandy already went.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mandy already went. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think if we've gotten everybody, I'm going to move over to our featured partners. Did I miss anybody?
I think Michelle Burke we missed.
No, we had Michelle.
Oh,
Michelle's in front of the pool.
Tara, you're going to have to go. Quit trying to put it off, okay?
All right.
Oh, yeah, Michelle.
okay.
So let me just say two things. So the first is, you guys have probably noticed that we have limited in the Facebook group. We had a lot of folks posting different events, and I got a lot of feedback that it seemed like it was getting cumbersome with all the different events. So what we did in order to enhance the value, which many of you are part of the directory of resources, but in order to enhance that further, we're only going to allow members of the directory to post events. So there'll be fewer events, which hopefully will provide more visibility to the events. In addition to that, members of the directory are also being offered the opportunity to write blogs for the website. Now, all of this, the website, the directory, all of that was launched in the last 2 months. And we just, with the launch of the website, we just got everything up to Google probably about 6 weeks ago when COVID hit. And of course, Google's been slow to respond to all of those directory listings on Google. So it's been a really new process, and we've already had, I think, over 1,000 users to the site. So our goal is to really start to promote that website, especially once COVID's behind us. So again, if you're in the directory, thank you for jumping on board early. And we do plan on doing a lot to promote that particular website. And if you're in the directory, make sure that you submit an article, because it's a great way, if you're not familiar with SEO, it's a great way to create backlinks to your website. It's also a great way to position you as an expert. And there's an easy form that you can just upload your Word doc and, again, show you're expert in your particular industry. So if you're not already part of the directory, by all means, get your listing. They're out on the Facebook group. There's a discount. Tara and Kat joined us early on as featured partners. And basically what that means is that they get extended visibility to our group through these events. When we were doing in-person events, Kat and Tara had some FaceTime at our presentations and our speaker events. And so we're continuing to try to feature them and their products and services. So let's see, Kat, you're on the screen. Why don't you give us your 3 to 5 minute whirl about what you do and how you help folks.
Okay, will do. So I'm Kat Harvey. My business is Copycat. I write copy, and I'm a content creator. And these days, I end up writing just about everything. So this week, I wrote 2 blogs about fuel storage tanks. Woo, that's exciting. And 2 blogs about bankruptcy. And 2 blogs about, well, one was about what to do if when you get your PPP money, to make sure you can have that, forgiven and converted into a grant. So those are examples. And then last night about 9 o'clock, I got a message from a client in Missouri. He needs a sales script, because he's turned his t-shirt company into a mask company. It's his pivot, and he's had some luck with it, ready to scale. So I need to write a sales script for people so they can do cold calling. I've got projects that I'm working on. I've got a series of brochures project that I'm working on for senior care. And just a lot of different things. I mean, it keeps life interesting. It's very intellectually stimulating, and I like helping people. So this job is just kind of meant for me. I'm learning stuff, I'm helping people, and I'm getting through it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's.
You're a great resource. You know, just to kind of tag on to that. I build websites for small businesses, and whether I'm doing a website or a book or even blogs, you know, Kat is a great resource. Like you just saw there, she's so diversified. And if she doesn't have in-depth knowledge on a topic, she'll research it. So I love what you do, and I love the value you provide. And got any Kat words of wisdom for our ladies out there today?
Words of wisdom. Well,
I put you on the spot there. I can come back to you.
You put me on the spot. Give me a minute to think.
Yeah, let me come back to you. All right, our other featured partner is Tara Frame. Tara is with Frame and Frame Law Firm. Let me get Tara up here. Where is she?
I'm here.
She is.
No.
Tara is with Frame and Frame Law Firm. And why am I not? There she is. And I can just speak from personal experience, but let me have Tara give her spiel, and then I'm going to follow up with my own experience with Tara as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tara Frame, and I am an attorney with Frame and Frame. My father started the firm in 1954, so we've been helping members of the community for over 65 years now. I think we're one of maybe 5 businesses in Anne Arundel County that have been in business for more than 65 years. So we're honored to be able to help people. So basically what I do is I help people protect their families. So what I do is I help people. I learn about the client, I learn about their families, I provide personalized solutions to their legal issues, and I personally create customized wills, trusts, and long-term care plans. So my focus in the firm is primarily estate planning, elder law, and probate and estate administration. So, you know, what I really try to do is try to focus on preparing strategies for families so that we can help protect their assets and property from creditors, predators, divorce, bankruptcy, and help them, you know, have peace of mind, take the weight off their shoulders so that they know that they're, that, you know, they have plans in place and their family's not going to be scrambling or worrying about what's going to happen if the unexpected occurs, or if they have to make end-of-life decisions. So it's, you know, I really get satisfaction with helping people. You know, I have so many people that come into the office and they've talked to their neighbor or their friend or their brother-in-law, and they're all trying to give them advice, but everybody's situation is different. So once, you know, one plan or scenario is not going to apply to everyone. So, you know, it's really not a good idea to use cookie cutter, you know, estate planning documents because they're just really not going to be customized to the family. You know, just to give you an idea, so if you have a special needs person in the family, grandparents think that's a really great idea to leave them money, and that's the worst thing they can do because that basically if they inherited any money and they're on government benefits, they lose all of their eligibility. So especially something as important as health care, they cannot afford to lose health care if they're, you know, if they have a severe disability. They would have to go through all that money and then have to reapply and get reinstated for those benefits. So there's ways for us to use trust planning and special needs trusts to avoid those scenarios. So we really get an in-depth look into the family and all of the issues, if there's any estranged children, if there's any disabled children, if there are children under 18, you know, we need to nominate guardians. So we're looking at all of those pieces in order to help families. And I think, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with people recently, especially like the long-term care planning for nursing homes. Parents just don't want to think about that. They don't want to, you know, they don't want to plan for it. But then when the time comes, the families are just sometimes devastated by the costs of nursing homes, which can be $10,000 a month or more. So we can definitely plan for that, and there's strategies to use. If people do pre-planning, that's always the best, obviously. Even in a crisis situation, we can help people, but pre-planning is best. And I've been telling people, they say, how do I have this conversation with my parents? And my advice to them is, present it that, you're not asking them to do something for themselves. You're asking them to do something for you, because the children are the ones who are going to be making these decisions. The burden's going to fall on their shoulders when the time comes. So I find that a lot of older people are more willing to do something for their children or their family as opposed to doing something for themselves. So that's a good way to kind of present it to an older person when you're talking about long-term care planning. But other than me, we do have one other attorney in the firm, and she handles family law and personal injury, primarily auto accidents. So, we also help people with divorce and separation and custody and visitation, and anyone who's been injured in an accident. So I really appreciate this group and the connections I've made. Beverly, I met her over the past 6 months, and she was nice enough to introduce me to Mariana. So Mariana and I just connected the other day, 2 days ago, yesterday. I don't even know what day it is. So I'm really honored that she asked me to be a part of her new project, and I think that's going to be exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that, and all the new connections that I've made. So that's me.
Thanks for being a featured partner. And just to tag on, one of the things that Tara and I were discussing, my folks, they're older, and whenever we have 6 kids in the family, and whenever we would say, Dad, do you have everything arranged? Maybe we should talk to a estate planner. Oh, no, I talked to an estate planner, everything's arranged. Well, when he was diagnosed with dementia, we found out everything wasn't arranged. And so while he did have a will in place, and he did have powers of attorney in place, they were in no position whatsoever financially for some of the long-term care that he has required. And so, that's where I think Tara can be a great help to a lot of us here who are in the sandwich generation, because a lot of our folks, they don't like to talk about finances, or they think they have it all taken care of. And that long-term Medicaid planning is really, really important. So hats off to you for providing that service. So let's do a couple of housekeeping items. The chat box, make sure that you put your contact information there with your website, phone number, what have you. If you want to print that out before we finish up today, you just click on those 3 dots in the bottom of the chat box. I think it's a right click, and you can actually print out the chat box. So make sure you get your contact information in there so you can all leave with everybody's information. So we've had a kind of a good round of introductions, and now I'd like to move on to the topic at hand. I had shared an article in the Post, and we always like to have a topic for this group. And, with COVID, the crisis, there's a couple of things that came to mind for me, specifically as women and as leaders and as business owners. Leadership is really important right now. I wrote a blog, actually, I think it got published yesterday or today, on leadership, and I'll post a link to that in the chat as well. But kind of interesting perspective, because when you think about leadership, we all think we have this style of leadership, and yet in a crisis, we're challenged to completely change our style of leadership to be most effective in a crisis. So I'll put that link to that blog in the chat box in case you guys want to check that out. But it ties into our topic today of innovation, because as women business owners, I heard several of you have a couple of different kind of gigs going. It really, in addition to requiring you to pivot and adapt, it really does foster an environment for innovation. So if you've had a chance to read that article, I think the first part of that article really talks about how the coronavirus and the crisis that we're in really is kind of a breeding ground for innovation if you allow that to occur. A lot of people get stuck in how they've always done things, or Beverly was mentioning that the state, which is like the proverbial bureaucracy, right? The state has actually started to realize that this has created an innovative way for them to do business. So let me open up the first, overview of that article, what your thoughts were, and then we'll kind of jump into maybe each of the headings underneath that article. What were your thoughts on it and innovation in general during the crisis?
I mean, I obviously say, what do they say? What's the saying? Necessity is the invention of. Well, I'm mixing it up this morning. It's too early to think.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Of invention, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I do find that, I think in one respect it's been a good thing because I think people are so, they're so stuck in their box, and it's hard for people to think outside the box. They're like, this is what I do, this is what I'm good at. And then when you're really kind of not able necessarily to do that, you have to think about, well, what else can I do? What else am I good at? How can I expand on what I do and maybe offer more value, offer more services? And I think people have been forced to get a little bit more creative. And I think in the long run, that's going to, that's especially business owners. I think certain businesses, it's going to be helpful because that'll just expand their, their services and value that they can offer.
Agreed.
I also think people get stuck in analysis paralysis when you start thinking, okay, these are all the opportunities that I could do. Everyone forgets Sam Beckett said, fail fast, fail often, and that's how you get better. So you start looking at all this stuff and you analyze it so much that you make no strides forward. You get stuck and mired down because whether it's the fear of change, the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, but you analyze it and Ben Franklin it to death, and there's no decision.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
One of the things that we're finding kind of a challenge, and I helped Matt overcome that early on, was how as a leader, as a manager of a business with employees that we're in an essential industry, how do you continue to engage when you're not seeing them? How do you discipline them, for a lack of a better term, when you're not able to really interact personally? Because a lot of times those discussions one-on-one is beneficial to the employee. Even though technology, we can Zoom and see each other, to be in that same vicinity with that person and feel the energy, yours, theirs, and coming together to kind of solve whatever problems there is, that's a challenge. And I was proud of him that he listened to me. It was so good. And even before the company started with a webinar, with a GoToMeeting account, right? I was like, Matt, we can use Zoom for free. We need to have our monthly staff meeting. You have to do this every month with your MDE license and things like that. And so let's just do it. And then, of course, a couple weeks later, the company comes out with a GoToMeeting account. And I was like, look, breaking edge. Yay. But and in that industry, in that construction industry, and Celia can probably attest to that, it's hard to get those people to pivot. They do what they do, and that's where they're going to stay, is in their lane, because engineers aren't creative, and they stay the course. So as leaders in our own businesses, in helping others, you really have to look at where people's boxes are. As Tara said, they stay in their box. And can you, as a leader, help shift someone's mindset out of their box?
Yeah.
I have a suggestion.
The people who aren't going to be able to do that, the people who are going to be able to think outside the box, I think those businesses are going to thrive. And after this is all over, they're going to go gangbusters. And all the businesses who are just sitting around kind of waiting for this to end and kind of, just waiting, let's see what happens. I unfortunately, they're going to be in bad, big trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll be in the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
While everybody else is going through the tubes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a kind of a unique background because I started a business in manufacturing with my ex-husband, and my son is still running that operation at this point. And he has the weight of around 75 employees on his head every day. And he does manufacturing in America. So we have an operation that was essential and had to continue to be working during this COVID time. And I'm so happy that I have a son that has this broader spectrum of vision. He kept saying, "Mom, I've been reading about this. Can you tell me about this medical part?" And he tacked on to, "I'm responsible, but I want to know more." And it was long before everything kind of broke loose. It was in January that he was asking me about medical problems and how to handle this and what do you think I should do and how do I isolate my clients and my people that are working in my factory. They're very valuable to me. And I feel that sometimes allowing that dialogue to go forward without an exact finish helps everybody develop where they need to go. It shows the weaknesses and the strengths of what you know and what you need to do. And instead of making it definitive, we're going to get this done today kind of feel, it's just, like he says, a marathon. And he's been eyes open and going forward with his business, which I'm really very happy with. The other thing is that a lot of people aren't comfortable sitting in a meeting in Zoom, and maybe just a couple runs so people get used to it helps them feel comfortable enough to just jump into another dialogue. Even if you say, we're going to have a 10-minute meeting, I just want you to jump in so you get used to it and give somebody a chance to feel, I don't want to make myself to be a problem in this group, or I don't know how to operate the buttons, and should I take notes or whatever. So I think a lot of this is just acclimating people who are, again, not in their box, but just coaxing them into something that they might be able to identify as a strength of their own. You know, you used to lead meetings every week, so let's just kind of make it a short stop over during the day, try and get everybody together and see if we can run this, and you know, just no holds on anything, just let it go.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I want to share with you, just because this ties in so nicely. So everybody recognize this picture? And it's it just came to mind because of something Beverly said about engineers. You guys know where that picture's from?
That's
NASA.
NASA, I think. Apollo 13. Yeah.
Apollo 13. So Beverly, to your point, engineers aren't the most adaptable people, right? But when we have a bunch of astronauts stuck in a spaceship high above the Earth and something goes wrong, those guys had to find a solution.
Yeah.
And you know, two of the most famous phrases, we're all familiar with them. Failure is not an option. That was a phrase that was created out of that mission, because either we figure this out or these guys die.
Yep.
Right? And then the other phrase we've all heard,
Houston,
we have a problem, right? So I just think that one little story about Apollo 13, you could translate that into today and realize that it may not be the exact same setting, but all of the same elements are there. There's a crisis going on, and whether you're in the medical field and it's a life and death crisis, whether you're in the business world and it's a live or die, survive or thrive for your business crisis, there's a lot of lessons that I think we could take out of that Apollo 13 story. So that resonated with me when you said that, Beverly.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's so fun. I just got goosebumps when you pulled that up and talked about that, because it's either, I think it was 2009, I actually had the honor and pleasure to meet Jim Lovell and Fred Hayes.
Oh, wow.
They were down here in Southern Maryland because they were donating Jim's NASA ambassador of exploration lunar sample to the Pax River Navy Museum. And we hosted them at the hotel. And, and having that conversation with Mr. Lovell was really interesting because, when you ask in the question of, so what did you do? Right? What did you do? And he said, Beverly, we just solved one problem at a time. We tried one thing. If it didn't work, we did the next thing. That didn't work, we did the next thing. And eventually we got home. And, just listening to their stories of how they overcame. I mean, you're in outer space. They can get from outer space back home. We can survive this with all of our technology.
Right.
And, but wow, that was cool that you pulled that up today.
Yeah, think about the parallels
Very
between
cool.
that and what we're having today. And the stereotypes, right? Like Beverly just said, it's hard to get engineers to adapt or, go outside of the box because they're not typically outside the box guys. But when you have a crisis, you have to challenge yourself and the people that work with you to think outside of that box. You guys have probably heard me say this ad nauseum, but when I worked with Under Armour 15 years ago, probably, one of the stories was that Kevin Plank was sitting in a room with executives, and they were doing some brainstorming, and somebody in the room said, yeah, but that's not the way we've done it. And he pounded his fist on the table and he said, from this day forward, I never want to hear those words again in this organization. I don't care how we've always done it. We have to think differently every day. And so when you think about Under Armour, granted, they've been through some tough times too, but they're an innovative company. And I feel like in today's crisis, you have to embrace an innovative mindset. You have to push that out to your people that, hey, there's no holds barred here. Like anything's on the table. If you embrace that mindset and push that down to your team members, you're probably gonna be okay, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of segue to something that I wanted to bring up. There's a business book, and it's a little bit dry, so it was a little tough to get through, but some of the concepts were really good. It's called the 3-Box Solution, Strategy for Leading Innovation. So basically the 3 boxes are, the 1 box is what you're doing now. It's the whirlwind. So it's your day-to-day stuff that you're in that, and you're, just trying to get everything done every day. The 2nd box is things that you need to get rid of, that's taking up your time, that's really not moving you forward, that you really kind of have to divorce or say goodbye to, even if it's painful. And then the 3rd box is innovation. So you have to build in time in your organization, either with yourself or delegate some time to think about innovation outside of the whirlwind, because if you're always in box 1, you're never going to grow. If you don't get rid of some stuff in box 2, you don't have time to grow. And if you don't, and you got to think about box 3, which is going to help you grow. So just an example, after I read that book, part of our firm was, we handle a lot of workers' compensation cases. And after I read that book, as much as I loved my workers' comp clients and I loved that work, I realized that it's really kind of holding me back. It was taking a lot of our time for resources, time. And, once I kind of said, okay, I love you, workers' comp, practice, but I got to let you go. And I finally came to that realization. And now it's just opened up so much more time for me to grow the other part that I love, which is my estate planning. So I kind of had to have a, come to Jesus conversation with myself, thinking, okay, I really need to let this go. And then once I did, it really did open up, Suzanne knows, it opened up even just space in my mind to think about all kinds of new ideas. And I'm thinking about marketing and what can we do here and how can we help? And so it was really kind of a breakthrough. And I'm going to put the book up here if anybody's interested.
Yeah, throw it up in the chat.
Thank you.
That is wonderful. I'd love to add something to what Joanne said. She mentioned that sometimes you just need to do stuff without the exact finish. And there is a beautiful quote, one of my favorite ones. It says, better done than perfect.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people now have this amazing opportunity to expand on that.
Yeah.
So I love this discussion. And also talking about the article, two things really stood up to me. One of them was that courage is defined as when purpose overcomes fear. Yeah. And I can relate to it so much, especially, I mean, even during the regular times. For example, a lot of people have anxiety before doing speaking presentations. But once you expand that purpose, the end purpose, to something bigger than yourself, like how are you going to look? What if something goes wrong? Or, stuff like that. And you remember that your end purpose is to deliver value. You can't fail. And now during the crisis, I think it helps a lot of people when they expand that purpose.
Yeah. Can you share that quote in the chat for us? I liked that first quote you had.
Absolutely. Better done than perfect.
Awesome.
Irina, I just text that phrase to my husband.
Oh, nice. I love that.
We're aligned.
Yeah, those mathematical minds, they like to be perfect. And, sometimes it doesn't have to be as polished. It doesn't mean quality isn't relevant. Like, you still have to have quality, but better done than perfect. Love it.
Love it. What about on the article? So they had problem solving at heart, where they talked about, innovations, how to problem solve. And I don't remember who said it, but solving one problem at a time, like that's problem solving at the heart. Like sometimes, sometimes we get overwhelmed with like all of the things we have to accomplish to get to our goal, but problem solving one problem at a time is a great way to do that. What about the second bullet point, talking about leadership challenges in particular, uniting around a purpose? For those of you who have team members or employees, actually they mentioned the Apollo 13 there. What's your perspective on that second and third bullet points, uniting around a purpose and seeing the system differently?
I think that sometimes while we're getting challenged, we keep thinking, what was yesterday? What did I used to do? And as a leader, you have to tap into their talents and move them into, this is a time when I think because you're so good at this, we're going to move you in that direction and give that person a purpose that will enhance the group. Not so much that I'm going to put you on the spot, I'm going to make you do something you aren't comfortable or haven't been asked to do in the past, but just to say, I think I really want to give you positive confidence to do this work. Together, I'm asking other people to do other things. We're going to bring this back together. Let's just work on it. We're going to give you some training wheels, and I think you're capable of taking it forward.
I feel that a lot of this that's happening is helping individuals think about not only building their business, but how to also be involved in the community and to be part of a bigger purpose. And it's really, some of us, that's just the way we are, is, the volunteering and the giving back and wanting to be involved. But sometimes it takes something like this to get you to realize that it's not just about your growth, but it's the growth of everybody around you that's important to keep us all going. And I think that gives you a greater purpose. Specifically at this time, we have a greater purpose. Like, yes, I need to pay my bills, I need to have clients, but at the end of the day, like, if there's things that I can do outside of that to affect or help others. Like today, I just gave away a freezer to a girl I know on Facebook just because hers went dead and she's got a bunch of kids and stuff. And I use it very rarely. But anyway, but it's just little stuff, and you think more about what can I do and how can I do it and what's going to be the most beneficial to the people around me.
Yeah, I love that. That probably segues us in nicely to unfreeing the organization. So just reflect back to what I said about Kevin Plank. We have, most good business leaders have KPIs, they have, procedures, processes, like they have things in place because that helps them strategize, plan, and have some predictability in their business, whether that's for cash flow or manufacturing or production or what have you. And it talked about unfreeing the organization. Did anybody have comments on that particular section of the article? I like the way it used the example of grocery chains used to have a very refined method of how they manage inventory. And grocery chains have become really innovative with this crisis by, completely redefining their purchasing and processing chains. Any other comments on that? No? Okay.
I think it goes well with the previous statement that we are forced to confront the truth about how our systems work or don't. So those two go so well together because those organizations have to confront that and see what can be done differently. And that's also why that outside perspective from those consultants or any support group that we have is so helpful, because sometimes we just don't know when we get in our own way and limit ourselves before ever trying to do something differently.
Yeah. What about, we're wrapping up close to 9 and we try to keep this huddle to an hour. So is anybody out there have something unique or innovative that has happened to them or their business or with their clients that you'd like to share with us?
I have kind of a cool leadership story over at Envoy. Our president, April ended up being the best month for the company overall. And so one of the things that he did, especially with COVID going on right now, is he hired a yoga instructor who he's used in the past to do Zoom yoga for the entire company. And it's kind of a double win for everybody. The employees are getting free yoga every Tuesday and every Thursday for the whole month. And then also the instructor is getting paid for her sessions as well. And I wasn't able to pop on it last night at 5 o'clock because I had a call for some, problem solving going on, but they're recorded. So I'm excited to try that today. It was kind of a cool thing for leadership to provide for us.
Now, just to give perspective, how many employees do you have in your company?
Ooh, definitely over 500.
Yeah, so
Wow.
just to give perspective, I think that is really innovative, because you might hear about somebody doing that for an employee with 5 or 10 employees, but doing that for 500 employees is definitely innovative. And you're in the financial industry, so who in the financial industry puts yoga out to their employees? That's pretty cool.
And it's a male leader, which is even cooler, because you would totally think of that as being women, not to be sexist, but it was nice to hear it from a man's perspective that he was interested in providing that for us.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
I have an example. My primary broker that I work through is New York Life, which is a 175-year-old company, but they actually paid anybody who is a career agent or is using the health insurance, they paid all of our health insurance last month. And then anybody who's within their first 3 years with the company, they gave them $1,000 a month stipend. And
wow.
Really, they're not doing any commission reversals. So even if a client stops paying their premium or something, they're doing an extension for clients if they can't pay their premium, etc. But on our side, they're not reversing.
Wow.
So they're leaving it on the books for us. And then they're giving us an additional expense allowance on top of our regular commissions just to help everybody along. I mean, it was insane when they started rolling out the different things. I couldn't believe it. And
there should be a news channel for this kind of stuff, because
yeah, it was amazing.
Honestly, all you hear is bad news, and look, there's 2 good examples right there. Awesome. Anything else out there innovative you guys are seeing?
Just real quick, you mentioned about Good News. I don't know if any of you ever watched John Krasinski's Some Good News.
Yes.
But
yes.
on YouTube, it is a total feel good about what he's doing, who he's had on. He did a graduation for all those graduating seniors and had, you know, Oprah Winfrey, several people speak. But that is a news channel that if you want to get some good news whenever he comes out with it, it's just SGN on YouTube, Some Good News, and it definitely will put a smile on your face.
Can you pop that into the chat box for us?
Yep.
I so love that. My husband and I watch Sunday morning every Sunday on Channel 9 because it's just all like positive stuff. I'm like, I just need this little bit of
Right. Anything else out there innovative? I've got one in my business group. We have an auto mechanic, and of course he's struggling to keep his guys busy and trying to determine whether or not to close, furlough, whatever. So he decided, hey, people still need their cars worked on. So he decided to do a concierge service. So I needed 2 new tires. I hadn't been able to get in. He came, got my car, took it in, got 2 of his guys to work on it, so he's feeding them, and brought the car back, and I just worked from home. Like, how fantastic is that? And that's innovative. And I told him, I'm like, dude, you need to keep this up long after COVID.
My husband is doing that as well. He works on cars. His dealer, they're doing that as well, and it's nice because it keeps the porters busy because they're the ones running back and forth with people's cars. And the techs don't have to worry about it. So their part is really unchanged, but it keeps the porters busy. It keeps people at home working or taking care of the kids or whatever it is they need to do. It keeps people out of the waiting rooms, which is very important right now. And it kind of helps everybody. So I'm seeing a lot of the auto companies are doing that. Just like in sales, they're doing it by appointment only. You can't just come and browse. You have to have an appointment to come in, which that means they can control how many people are in there, how far apart people are, clean down all the cars and stuff like that in between people. So it's actually been a pretty good system to keep the businesses open and keep people working. My husband there's 10 techs where he works, and they're down to 3 or 4 depending on the day. And everybody else has decided to just be laid off right now and be on unemployment until they can bring everybody back at full capacity. So it's worked out pretty well.
And that's another example. Like, why would we go back to the old way? Like, I would pay an extra $25 or whatever the fee is to just not have to worry about it. Come get my car, fix it, bring it back to me. Like, why would we go back to the old way of sitting in waiting rooms? Who wants to do that, right?
Yeah, the convenience factor has gotten huge. I would always get stressed out about pizza delivery because the dog's barking, the kids are all over the place when someone's knocking at the door, and now I just say, oh, add this much tip and just leave it at the doorstep.
Yeah. Right? Awesome.
Well, and interesting when you said, Suzanne, like going back to the old ways, because I think those people that are outside the box thinkers, while this might be a courtesy service that we're doing to stay afloat, you just said, I'll pay to have that luxury. So hopefully people with service-oriented businesses like that will see this as an opportunity, offer it now because we have to, but that can be a luxury VIP concierge service, extra income as we move into the future when we go back to a different, a somewhat norm.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing. The good thing about what's happening right now is it's a time to try new things. I don't want to wreck the surprise. I'm going to be touching on this when I talk at Dream Queens next week. But the fact that a lot of times when you are in business, and I think it's more, it happens more to women, that we try something, and if it doesn't work out, we're afraid to let it go. That's why, you guys are helping me to prepare my speech a lot. Like what Tara said, the workers' comp stuff just wasn't doing it for her. So it was okay to let it go. But I think a lot of times we hang on to stuff because we don't want people to see us fail at something.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And this is kind of a safe space where it's acceptable now to try new things. And if they don't work out, okay, cool. And if they do work out, we might want to consider adopting them in the new normal. So anyway, that would be a good thing about now.
Yeah. I have a real challenge because I'm housing over 16 people in my home at the beach with the staff that's not my personal staff, but someone that I've hired for the last 4 years. And to have someone come with their family and their children, their grandparents and all to my home to rent for a week is a daunting task for me, because as a medical person, I know what I have to do to make the house really comfortable. And at the same time, I don't want to expose anyone or have a problem. So what we've instituted now is that I have 2 sets of bedding, not the sheets themselves, but the comforters and the pillows, which are going to be changed out every time someone checks in. It doubles the amount of work that we do in that part, but it gives me the security of saying you have fresh things in each bedroom. So I am limiting my pillows. I usually have a ton of them and a lot of extras and such, but we have condensed, and I've gotten a few fresh pillow covers that we take off. We put them back on every week. There's a different kind of theme almost in the house, but it then gives people the idea that we are paying attention to the details. When they lay their head down at night, they're not thinking, oh, what was this before? Who was here? Do I trust this? Because my income is only 10 weeks in the summer. I have to make sure that I'm on point with what I'm delivering, and I think that'll probably be my future as well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're up to 9 o'clock, ladies, so we're going to wrap it up here. Sincerely appreciate everybody joining us. Make sure before we close out that you got your information in the chat box. And if you'd like to print that, just click on the 3 dots down in the right corner, and you can print that and save that. Kat, circling back to you, did you come up with any words of wisdom you want to close us out with?
Well, I like something that I heard, and I think it kind of typifies how we're all feeling right now. Steve Atkinson in the Networking in Annapolis group said that we only have 3 days, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And I think for most of us, that's kind of the mindset. It's difficult to see down the road and know what's going to happen. And the past is just kind of in the past. So most of us are working within that 3-day time frame. And I thought that was kind of succinct. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Yep. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll be back here first Wednesday of next month. Due to COVID, we have been running some huddles in between our first Wednesday of the month. So stay tuned for those. Hope you guys have a great day. Make it a great week and another Groundhog Day.